Hello. After reading Counseling Principles and Christian Beliefs, an Integrated Approach, I feel the professional value that I've discovered is in harmony with my personal and spiritual beliefs is the principle of autonomy. This professional value reminded me of the importance of a person's freedom to choose. And when I studied about autonomy, it reminded me of agency, the God-given agency that we all have. According to Daniel 2020, quote, autonomy means clients have the right to decide their own fate about all aspects of life, whether I, as a counselor, approve or disapprove of that decision, end quote. In Moses chapter 4, verse 3, it says, quote, wherefore, because that Satan rebelled against me and sought to destroy the agency of man, which I, the Lord God, had given him, end quote. So we know there was a war in heaven before we came to earth, and God's plan was to give us all our agency and to let us choose. And we know that Satan's plan was to take away our agency. And as I thought more about autonomy and agency, it made me realize how grateful I am for agency, and as I look back in my personal life, how grateful I am for agency, particularly with what I'm passionate about and what I'm pursuing right now, and that is addiction, particularly addiction recovery. Agency is absolutely critical for a person struggling with addiction, getting over that addiction. Nobody can force somebody else into making those choices or to getting clean. It has to come from that individual. And so agency plays a big role in a person's individual success. And I think it's important that I keep that in mind, especially this principle of autonomy as I move into my profession as an addiction counselor, that each person needs that time and that autonomy to realize their goals for themselves. On the other hand, the code from the Code of Ethics that I found to be in conflict with a personal belief is in reference to mandated clients. In the introduction to section C, it talks about how counselors promise to not discriminate and to work within the boundaries of their professional competence. And it's hard for me to think about giving the same amount of effort or energy to mandated clients who may not want to be there, or who have consequences over their heads if they're not there, as opposed to those who are there voluntarily, willingly, have an invested interest in the counseling services and this hopeful success, potential success of those services. Standard A2E states that, quote, the client may choose to refuse services. In this case, counselors will, to the best of their ability, discuss with the client the potential consequences of refusing counseling services. This is not to say that every mandated client will refuse services, but it does teach me that I'll have a responsibility to inform, if there are consequences, inform mandated clients of the consequences of not following through with those services. And hopefully I can learn to do it in such a way through experience that it will change the perspective of the client and help them have a desire to take advantage of the counseling services, and hopefully with time and as they come back, they'll learn to put their trust in me and I in them, and we'll have a successful counseling relationship. So I think this is important for me to think about now as I'm a counselor in training, as this is early on, to be aware of this and to find ways to combat those those maybe personal biases that I may discover within myself. So thank you.